Good morning. Welcome to the UU Church of the South Hills, also known as Sunnyhill. We're delighted that you could join us for this service today. Our mission at Sunnyhill is to create a more just and compassionate community within and beyond our walls. My name is Krista Stanley, and I serve as a worship associate for this congregation. If you're a newcomer or a visitor to our congregation, please go to sunnyhill.org and click on the button that says New to Sunnyhill to receive more information about our congregation and to receive our weekly email newsletter. If you're joining us online today, please say hello or good morning in the comments on Facebook or YouTube. We'd love to hear from you and extend a warm welcome to you as well. We have a couple announcements coming up, one from our annual pledge drive to support Sunnyhill's operating budget, and then we have another announcement from our beloved conversations team. So here's some
announcements. Quite an intro. Good morning. My name is Tom Bussey, and I'm here to announce the start of the 2025 annual Pledge Stewardship Campaign and to introduce the members of this year's campaign committee. This is our annual recurring request for support of Sunnyhill's yearly budget. Our board of directors are currently working on the 2025 budget, and the committee will provide details at a table in the fellowship hall between services starting next week. The Sunnyhill website will also have information on it. That particular link is still under construction at this point, but should be up and running so you can pledge and pay in a week or so. I'd like to introduce the committee. The committee consists of Reverend Jim, Bethany Thornton, our membership director, Kelly Anderson, Gabe Corriman, Barb Cardinal Bussey, Denny McCracken, and myself. So if any of the members, there's Kelly, and there's Barbara, and
we do have new people that might not recognize him. So, this is Denny before he found Sunnyhill. And this is the Denny you will see.
So one or more of us will be at the table starting next week to answer any questions, provide any feedback, which we will absolutely ensure that the board gets in this process. And so if you have any questions, you can bring them to our attention at that point. A couple of things for your calendar. On December 8th, Sunday, the board will be presenting their recommended budget. And then on the following Sunday, on December 15th, at the congregational meeting, we'll be voting on the budget. So, thanks very much for your including Sunnyhill in your annual budget. And as you may recall, the capital campaign has invited you to be the future, and we're reminding you that it's also important to be the present. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Mary Jo Hennessy, and I'm a member of the Board of Trustees this year. And one of the board's goals this year is to dust off and update our bylaws, which have not been updated since 2016. So we don't even know where they are. I'm just kidding. And this will be an ongoing goal through April and we'll vote on the final revision in April on our congregational meeting. The first step is to update the Beloved Conversations language. And the Beloved Conversations was an ongoing program that a group of Sunnyhillers participated in over a few-year period. And so we are updating the language related to that in the bylaws. It is posted on nice little cardboard sheets there out on the social justice table, the current language and the suggested language. And I request that you go and read it, and you can also go out to sunnyhill.org, and there is a new link called Bylaws, and there's information there about the language piece for Beloved Conversations, current and future, and some additional information you can link to if you're not familiar with the program. And next week, there's a lot going on next week. There will actually be service as well. But for those of you who get here at 11:15, I'm afraid get here in your jambos. That's okay. You can come in your jammies at 10 o'clock because there will be a question and answer and informational session run by the Beloved Conversations team should you have any concerns or questions around this language change. So please mark that on your calendar. Please read the language because we would like to vote on that at that December meeting that Tom mentioned. Thank you.
Just a gentle reminder to everyone, please be sure to silence your cell phones and other electronic devices so that we can enjoy this service uninterrupted by buzzing or ringing. Our guest speaker today is Jonathan Murray. Jonathan is a member of the UU Church of the North Hills and a second-year student at the Star King School for the Ministry. Please join me in welcoming him. Today's sermon is titled, "What is Your Train Moment?" Gandhi's passion for justice was ignited after facing discrimination and being ejected from a train in South Africa. What fuels your passion for truth and justice? Our opening words were written by Katie Romano Griffin. Come, let us enter this space of hope and community. Come, let us enter this space with our sorrows, our joys, our passion, and compassion. Come, let us enter this space with the stories of our ancestors, for their strength and wisdom beats in our hearts. Come into this space present to the beloved companions who move beside us. Come into this space mindful that together we are building a future for other generations. Come into this space and let us worship. Please join me in saying the words for lighting our chalice. As we kindle this flame, may it spark in each of us connection and commitment to this living tradition.
Good morning. Lovely seeing you all gathered here today. Please rise and body your spirit to join in singing our opening hymn, Here We Have Gathered. Here we have gathered, gathered side by side, circle of kinship, come and step inside. May all who seek here find a kindly word. May all who seek here feel their
Good morning, friends. For our time for all ages today, kiddos are going to stay in their seats and check out the pictures on the screens for today's story, which is called The Dot, and it's by Peter H. Reynolds. Art class was over, but Vashti sat glued to her chair. Her paper was empty. Vashti's teacher leaned over the blank paper. "Ah, a polar bear in a snowstorm," she said. "Very funny," said Vashti. "I just can't draw." Her teacher smiled. "Just make a mark and see where it takes you." Vashti grabbed a marker and gave the paper a good, strong jab. "There." Her teacher picked up the paper and studied it carefully. She pushed the paper toward Vashti and quietly said, "Now sign it." Vashti thought for a moment. "Well, maybe I can't draw, but I can sign my name." The next week, when Vashti walked into art class, she was surprised to see what was hanging above her teacher's desk. It was the little dot she had drawn, her dot, all framed in swirly gold. I can make a better dot than that. She opened her never-before-used set of watercolors and set to work. Vashti painted and painted, a red dot, a purple dot, a yellow dot, a blue dot. The blue mixed with the yellow. She discovered that she could make a green dot. Vashti kept experimenting, lots of little dots in many colors. If I can make little dots, I can make big dots too. Vashti splashed her colors with a bigger brush on bigger paper to make even bigger dots. Vashti even made a dot by not painting a dot. At the school art show a few weeks later, Vashti's many dots made quite a splash. Vashti noticed a little boy gazing up at her. "You're a really great artist. I wish I could draw," he said. "I bet you can," said Vashti. "Me? No, not me. I can't draw a straight line with a ruler." Vashti smiled. She handed the boy a blank sheet of paper. "Show me." The boy's pencil shook as he drew his line. Vashti stared at the boy's squiggle, and then she said, "Please, sign it." The end. At the beginning of this story, Vashti is convinced that she is not an artist. But after a little nudge from her teacher, she had an aha moment. An aha moment is when you realize something important, like you find the missing puzzle piece, or you ride a bike without training wheels for the first time. It was at that moment when Vashti saw her dot framed in inside said something like, "Aha." These moments can happen in big ways and small ways, and if we lean into them, they can open up doors of possibility that can change our lives. And with that, we will head to our RE classes. Let's sing the kiddos out.
As you go, may joy surround you. As you go, go in peace. Know our love is with you always. As you go, as you go, as you go, may joy surround you. As you go in peace. Know our love is with you always. As you go, as you go. The piece of the choir is about to sing is called Place of Meeting. The words were written by Eileen Capellas, and it was composed and arranged by our founding music director, Carol Carl. She composed it for the dedication of this sanctuary when it was newly built. And I've been thinking about her a lot and about all those founding members and those who helped to build this sanctuary with their campaign pledges as we embark on our next journey of building. So we offer this with that kind of thoughtfulness and inspiration.
Thank you, choir. That was so lovely. Hi, everybody. I'm Bethany Thornton, and I'm the membership director here at Sunnyhill. Each week at this time in the service, we share joys and sorrows submitted by members of the congregation. We share the things that we are celebrating, as well as the things that we are mourning, so that they do not need to be held alone. Joys and sorrows may be submitted online on our website or by filling out a paper form in Fellowship Hall. After each joy or sorrow that I read, please respond by saying, "We hold you in our hearts." We have a joy from Susan Richmond today. She says, "Thank you, Sunnyhill, for your support. I have finally heard back from my friend Pat living in Asheville. Day-to-day life is still very challenging, but she is doing okay." To Sue Richmond and her friend Pat, we hold you in our hearts. We have a joy from Rick Geiger. He says that he has finally completed his ebook, Social Justice, a philosophical reference book. You can find it at ebook sellers or contact Rick for more information. To Rick Geiger, we hold you in our hearts. We have a sorrow from Betsy Mary. She says that our typically very healthy 17-year-old son Zayden has been sick in bed for over a week and was just diagnosed with pneumonia. He has just started on medication, but he hasn't turned the corner quite yet. To Zayden and the entire Mary family, we hold you in our hearts. And last, we have a joy from Leslie Smith. Leslie's daughter Anna, who recently lost her dad to pancreatic cancer, just got engaged on a mountain near the Grand Canyon. It was such a happy surprise to all of them. Anna went through the RE program here at Sunnyhill years ago. And to Anna and Leslie, we hold you in our hearts. Let us bear in mind all these joys and sorrows, as well as those that are too closely to be shared. And as we listen to our musical meditation this morning, we invite anyone who feels moved to do so to come forward, light a candle, place it in the sand, and then return to your seat.
I know my soul will unfurl its wings.
invite you to close your eyes and ground yourself in whatever way brings about a sense of balance and calm as I read a meditation from Douglas Taylor. I am learning to let my guard down. We all know about the deep instinct to respond to difficulty and stress with either fight or flight, with force or swift retreat, with decisive attack or prompt withdrawal. When faced with stress or difficulty or challenge, I am learning to let down my guard. I am learning to be vulnerable. I am seeking the courage to be open. I would have my vulnerability be a choice made from my courage rather than my fear. I would have my vulnerability be my strength. May my strength be not found as a hard shell of defense or a sharp weapon of attack. May my strength instead be found in an open stance of kindness and empathy, like a tree bending gracefully in the windstorm. May my strength be found in a willingness to join in the suffering of others, like a forest of trees together in a storm. May I choose to be receptive rather than protected, sharing rather than shielded. In this way, may I face my own suffering and the suffering of others with a nimble capacity to respond with compassion. In this way, may my vulnerability be an invitation for others to meet me in the open field with a yearning for understanding and peace. I know this is a risk. I know I may be hurt. I know things may not go well. But still, I will seek the courage to set aside the closed fist, the stinging retort, the barbed judgment of others. I will seek within myself the strength to stand exposed and unguarded before the world, in the wind, open to difficulty, not because I cannot be any other way, but because I have chosen this better way. I am still learning to be vulnerable. I seek the courage to be so vulnerable. May I have others who can help me to be so courageous. May my example serve others as well as myself. And may my strength be our strength in sharing this life openly with others. I will now do a reading from martial arts master and philosopher Bruce Lee. Whether it is the Godhead or not, I feel this great force, this untapped power, this dynamic something within me. This feeling defies description, and there is no experience with which this feeling can be compared. It is something like a strong emotion mixed with faith, but a lot stronger. This past March, my family and I traveled to Houston, Texas, to visit that mecca of space enthusiasts everywhere, NASA's Johnson Space Center. We marveled at the Saturn V rocket. The girls got to touch a rock from space, toured the inside of Skylab in a space shuttle, and learned some interesting statistics. For example, a high-performance Corvette has about 650 horsepower. The space shuttle has 37 million horsepower. The girls were also elated to get their picture taken with the large French fry-toting astronaut outside the local McDonald's. While touring around the city, we saw an advertisement for a brand new museum we were immediately fascinated by, the Eternal Gandhi Museum. The advertisement described it as a state-of-the-art, world-class museum that is the first of its kind dedicated to Mahatma Gandhi. Our goal is to preserve and promote his everlasting legacy of nonviolent conflict resolution by cultivating the universal values of truth, nonviolence, peace, love, and service. We were delighted to find out that it was only 11 minutes from our hotel, and with time to spare before our flight back to Pittsburgh, we decided to pay a visit. It's a beautiful building with gorgeous exhibits and powerful imagery that follows Gandhi's life and contributions. There's also an area dedicated to fellow world peace leaders like Nelson Mandela, Betty Williams, Cesar Chavez, Greta Thunberg, and the Dalai Lama. Quotes of inspiration are everywhere, encouraging visitors to be the change they want to see in the world. But one poster kept reappearing on the walls while we were walking around. With an image of a young, dapper-looking Gandhi with a piercing gaze, it asked the question, what is your train moment? Mohandas Gandhi had attended school to become a lawyer in the United Kingdom. After struggling for a few years to set up a law practice in his native India, he traveled to South Africa to represent an Indian merchant. On June 7th, 1893, the young lawyer was traveling by train from Durban to Pretoria. During the trip, the conductor told Gandhi that the first-class carriage that he was traveling in was for white passengers only, and that he must move to the lower-class passenger carriage. Gandhi showed the conductor his first-class ticket and refused to move. He was then forcibly removed from the train at the next station. He was 24 years old. Benazir Bhutto had been twice elected Prime Minister of Pakistan in the 1990s, and she was the first woman to lead a Muslim country. After being forcibly removed by the military, she returned to Pakistan to run for re-election in October of 2007 after living in exile in the UK for 9 years. While giving a campaign speech in that December, a young girl named Malala watched her assassination by a member of the Taliban on TV. She was 10 years old. Randy Lewis was the senior VP of Walgreens, and his son Austin had been born with a debilitating form of autism. Austin worked at a local pizza shop as part of his high school work-study internship. He was great at making pizza dough, and both his coworkers and the customers loved him. But despite his success, he was still refused employment there at the end of his internship. Randy was angered by the biases that his son and others with disabilities had to deal with. Randy was 55 years old. An ejection from a train, the assassination of a woman running for office, the rejection of a beloved son. These are examples of moments of truth, that proverbial fork in the road in which a life-changing decision must be made. These traumatic and heartbreaking events could have simply been written off by these individuals as one of a continual succession of unfortunate chapters in their lives. After all, Gandhi had already experienced racism before and upon his arrival in South Africa, and even held some racist views himself during that chapter of his life. Reflecting on this experience, Gandhi wrote in The Story of My Experiments with Truth, "It would be cowardice to run back to India without fulfilling my obligation. That hardship to which I was subjected was superficial, only a symptom to the deep disease of color prejudice. I should try, if possible, to root out the disease and suffer hardships in the process." Gandhi spent the next 21 years in South Africa fighting for the rights of Indians, and later in India itself to help end the brutality and injustice wrought by the British rule. In Pakistan, the Taliban demanded that Sharia law be enforced and Malala saw her father's life threatened if he continued to educate girls at his school. Malala wrote in her autobiography, "As I looked at the TV, a tiny voice in my heart whispered to me, 'Why don't you go there and fight for women's rights? Fight to make Pakistan a better place.' I told myself, I will continue the journey of fighting for peace and democracy in my country. I was only 10, but I knew then that somehow I would find a way." As the Taliban destroyed schools, Malala campaigned for girls' education and became the youngest recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize. Randy Lewis had witnessed people's avoidance, objections, and lack of resources for those with disabilities. He writes in his book, No Greatness Without Goodness, "As long as managers hire people with disabilities as an act of charity, they will never see stereotypes that are holding people with disabilities back. Those stereotypes that individuals with disabilities can't do the work as well, cost more, cause legal suits, have accidents, raise insurance rates, and fail to fit in are a wall that no amount of charity will ever overcome." As St. Augustine observed in the 5th century, charity is no substitute for justice withheld. If we could help dispel those unjust stereotypes, we would be defending against prejudice and exclusion. We wouldn't be offering opportunities to people with disabilities as an act of charity. In fact, we would be promoting the cause of justice. As the idea took shape, my anger was being transformed into resolve. As the senior vice president of Walgreens, he went on to create thousands of full-time jobs for people with disabilities. All could have given in to feelings of fear, powerlessness, and the resignation of, "That's just the way it is." But that was not to be. This was not a moment of defeat. It was a call to action, and they had no choice but to answer it. Anger had ignited a fire of resolve in them. The station of Pietermaritzburg, South Africa, is now a historic landmark, and a tour guide there described Gandhi's moment as his epiphany, when iron entered his soul. Until then, he was mild-mannered and meek. Have you ever experienced such a personal transformation? Is it yet to come? What is your train moment? Authors William Miller and Janet Bacca discuss such moments in their book, Quantum Change. They describe quantum change as a singular, dramatic moment in one's life that changes a person for the better. And it has 4 characteristics. It is vivid. The experience is so powerful and emotional that one remembers the date, time, and location in which it happened. It has the element of surprise. No one sees it coming. It is benevolent. The experience itself may or may not be pleasant, but the long-term effects are positive. And lastly, it's permanent, the point of no return. They liken the change as getting shot through a canyon in Class 5 rapids. There is no way to turn around and paddle back upstream. A quantum change could be finding one's purpose or cause, finally dropping a long-held addiction, a religious experience and/or conversion, or simply a seismic change in attitude. Miller and Bacca describe 2 types of quantum change: insight and epiphany. Insight moments are commonly known as aha moments, which we heard about earlier today, and I'm sure everyone here has experienced such an event. It's that moment of clarity in which you finally understand something or have a change in perception. Insights can vary in magnitude, from something as mundane as getting a pun or a punchline to a joke, to a revelation of a new way of thinking or solving a life problem. Then there are epiphanies. Such an event is uninvited, forever life-altering, and even if you don't want it or are ambivalent to it, you have absolutely no choice when it happens. Epiphanies can have an almost supernatural quality to them, as one can feel acted upon by an outside force or higher power. One can feel as if they tapped into a different dimension. In religion, such examples would be Paul's version on the road to Damascus, or Siddhartha Gautama's enlightenment under the Bodhi tree. In science, Isaac Newton developed his theory of gravity when an apple fell on his head. Albert Einstein said, "A storm broke loose in my mind when developing the theory of relativity." And what Christmas would be complete without the epiphanies of Ebenezer Scrooge and George Bailey in A Christmas Carol and It's a Wonderful Life, respectively. My personal favorite fictional epiphany is from the film Back to the Future, when Doc Brown recounts that red-letter day of November 5th, 1955, when he invented time travel with his vision of the flux capacitor, a vision he received after having an apparent concussion. When a quantum change happens in your life, you could say that something wanted to happen, something wanted to be born. Perhaps it was the confluence of unfolding events in your life that formed the perfect storm of new awareness and untapped power. This event not only happens in your head, but in your heart. When it happens, can you act on it or part of it? The original 7 principles of our UU denomination were drawn from 6 sources. The 2 sources speak to such sacred situations. The first source is direct experience to that transcending mystery and wonder affirmed in all cultures, which moves us to a renewal of the spirit and an openness to the forces which create and uphold life. The second source is words and deeds of prophetic people, which challenge us to confront powers and structures of evil with justice, compassion, and the transforming power of love. What is your train moment? I felt the initial call to ministry back in 2008. While living in the Pacific Northwest, I worked in restaurants and then ran a wellness center with my wife. During those years, I went through tremendous personal growth. I witnessed various movements such as Occupy Wall Street, Black Lives Matter, and Me Too. I watched helplessly as tent encampments grew due to the lack of affordable housing, made worse by gentrification. And we lost our business to COVID, as did so many others. While moving here to the Pittsburgh area, I struggled and was adrift as to what my next career and purpose should be. That initial call to ministry that I felt back in 2008 rematerialized during my family's first visit to the UU Church of the North Hills. Perhaps those particular experiences and events needed to happen first to culminate into my perfect storm. My train moment happened right here in the Steel City. Whether or not you've experienced an insight or epiphany, is there a cause you believe in? Are you angry enough to fight for it? If you experience feelings of overwhelm, start small, just enough to mobilize. You are never too old or too young to start. It can be as simple as walking in the Pride Parade or serving dinner at a homeless shelter. You can join an organization such as Rotary or volunteer at the Boys and Girls Club. Working with others can be a catalyst for keeping that internal fire alive. Minister and author Michael Beckwith says that change happens by way of pain or insight. Pain pushes you until insight pulls you. You are pulled by the vision until that cosmic 2x4 doesn't hit you as much. The pull is bigger than the pain. To quote some lyrics from Michael Franti's song, Start Small, Think Big. Start small, think big. Ain't no other better way to live. If you think big and start small, you ain't gotta have a lot to have it all. Slow it down, take your time, 'cause the sun shines on us all. What is your terrain moment? Peace and blessings.
Your spirit to join in singing the fire of commitment. From the light of days remembered burns a beacon bright and clear, guiding hands and hearts and spirits into faith set free from fear. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the stories of our living rings a song both brave and free, calling pilgrims still to witness to the life of liberty. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the dreams of youthful visions come a new prophetic voice, which demands a deeper justice built by our courageous choice. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. Thank you. Please be seated.
Our Share the Plate beneficiary for the month of October is the UU Disaster Relief Fund, which provides aid to UU congregations, their members, and their communities in the wake of disasters of all kind. UU Disaster Relief Relief Fund, grants can be used for damage to congregations' buildings and relocation to temporary locations, damage to members' and friends' homes and relocation expenses, and donations to local partner organizations that serve the community at large, particularly those who would not be eligible for other funding. You can make a gift online on our website or by text at 412-324-3130. We'll be passing our offering baskets for cash and checks in just a moment. If you're writing a check, please make it out to UUCSH and put "Share the Plate" in the memo line. Thank you for your generosity. Please join me in saying the words for extinguishing our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
May you leave this time together changed. May the promises you have made to yourself about what you want to feel closer to the reality of who you are right now. May you share that feeling of transformation wherever you go. May it spread into every word, deed, thought, and interaction, until we are all changed, transformed, and transforming together, becoming our better selves. Namaste and amen.